I think the problem, again, world is complex, and again here, I think both can be very valuable sources for ideas. I think the big advantage of having a concrete problem is there's people that feel the need. I mean, if you're not like a very singular individual that is the only one that feels this problem, then there's usually other people feeling the problem. So people will search on it on Google, they will look for it, they have an awareness for the problem, and there's probably some willingness to pay for a solution for that problem. So that often is an easier market entry, because if there's a vision that's like a little more abstract, you often need to not only tell people about the solution, but tell them that there's actually a problem that needs to be solved. Like that's often the problem. If you have something very innovative that's just out there because it fits a certain vision, there might not be as many people as far advanced in the process that there actually is a problem that needs to be fixed. So, but I think I think most of the ideas that you'll see, and most of the ideas that make sense, you will usually solve a concrete problem. And that's, I think, perfectly right in that sense. And so I think the risk-return profile of solving a concrete problem is usually lower, in the sense like the risk of solving a current problem and building a business on that is usually lower. But if you go for a vision, the potential business you can build out of it, if the vision is strong enough and actually materializes. But that's the problem, right? Because if you have a certain vision that might not materialize, or it might materialize a lot slower than you originally thought it would. Yeah, so I think if you want to build a business based on a vision, you have to be really convinced often, because it might take 2, 3, 4 years longer. Yeah, and if you look at a lot of entrepreneurs, why do they fail? Some of them, I mean, you talk to a lot of failed entrepreneurs, a lot of them will tell you, I was just too early with my idea. People didn't get it yet, the understanding of the market. And I would say for 90% of them, that's not true. They just executed badly. But there's definitely some of them where that's actually the case. That actually were too early with their idea. And you see that now with a lot of internet ideas that have been around for like 2000, 2001, but the market just wasn't ready for it yet, because there weren't the tools, there wasn't the awareness. So that's definitely the case also in other instances. So I think building on a vision is great. That can be potentially groundbreaking and whatever. But one thing that people should not forget, I mean, what's like the main task of an entrepreneur? The main task of an entrepreneur is to combine resources in a way that's efficient and that provides value to certain customer groups, and they're willing to pay for it. And the more concrete you can do that based on a certain problem. If that can be done based on a vision, that's more uncertain by definition. And that's just what you need to be aware of. And I would say, a lot of people say like a vision is, you're building something on a vision, that's like the only true way of entrepreneurship. And I think that's simply bullshit. I mean, because you also need to be the right kind of person to execute on a vision. And I think like you need to have the right kind of skill set. For me personally, I would say I would not be able to do that. And I think 99.9% of all people would not be able to do that. If you're Steve Jobs and you're able to see, okay, like this strange kind of computer that's not able to do anything better than a laptop, why should somebody buy it? And like to that numbers. I think for that you really need to have a vision. What like a tablet PC has some kind of value that otherwise people would not have perceived. And I think there's very few people that are able to execute based on a vision. And not everybody should strive for it, because if you are not as gifted as entrepreneurs that are actually able to do that, you're better off just executing on current problems. And that's not worth less than executing on a vision. It's actually, for you and your skill set, it's actually the more adequate way to go by. And as long as you like create a resource combination that creates value, you definitely like are a good entrepreneur, right? So and I think that's like a common misconception where people say, okay, something groundbreaking is necessarily better than something that solves a concrete problem. I wouldn't say so, because it really depends on the skill set, and you're depending on But coming back to the original question, I think both is perfectly valid. You just have to be aware of the implications if you decide for either way.